Every human relationship is shaped by something most people never consciously see. It's not love, intelligence, or even communication skills. It is emotional reinforcement. From the very first interaction, the human brain begins learning a simple but powerful lesson. What behaviors create safety, and which ones create pain? This learning happens silently, automatically, and continuously. Reward therapy works because it understands this hidden system and uses it deliberately. Reward therapy is not manipulation, bribery, or fake positivity. It is the intentional use of emotional feedback to guide connection. The brain is constantly asking a quiet question in every interaction. Did this moment make me feel valued or threatened? The answer determines whether the brain opens up or shuts down, whether it leans in or pulls away. Relationships are built or damaged on this invisible response. At the neurological level, reward therapy is rooted in reinforcement learning. When a behavior is followed by emotional appreciation, respect, or validation, the brain releases dopamine. This chemical is often misunderstood as pleasure, but its real function is learning. Dopamine tells the brain, "This mattered." Remember this pattern. Over time, the brain repeats behaviors not because it was instructed to, but because it learned they lead to emotional safety. This is why some people feel naturally easy to be around. You may not know why, but conversations with them feel smoother. You feel heard instead of judged. Your nervous system relaxes in their presence. That reaction is not accidental. It is the result of consistent emotional rewards that taught your brain it is safe to exist freely around them. On the other hand, many relationships deteriorate, not because of major betrayals, but because emotional punishment becomes routine. Effort is met with criticism. Honesty is met with defensiveness. Vulnerability is met with silence or dismissal. The brain learns that expression carries a cost. Eventually, people stop sharing, not because they don't care, but because connection feels unsafe. Reward therapy reverses this pattern by reshaping emotional consequences. Instead of responding only to mistakes, it reinforces effort. Instead of punishing honesty, it protects Italiano. When someone admits a flaw and is met with respect instead of shame, the brain records a powerful lesson. Truth does not threaten belonging. That lesson changes behavior faster than any lecture ever could. Trust emerges from this consistency. Trust is not a conscious agreement people make. It is a physiological state. When people trust you, their bodies are relaxed around you. They do not feel the need to guard their words or emotions. Reward-based interactions create this state by making emotional outcomes predictable. People know that engaging with you will not cost them dignity. This predictability also reshapes power dynamics. Many conflicts are not about the topic being discussed, but about fear of emotional loss. People argue defensively because they feel unseen, disrespected, or threatened. Reward therapy lowers this fear. When feedback is paired with appreciation and boundaries are communicated with calm respect, defensiveness fades. The brain no longer feels under attack. Pay close attention to everyday communication. Two people can say the same sentence and send completely different emotional messages. A neutral statement followed by acknowledgement feels validating. The same statement followed by silence feels rejecting. Reward therapy operates in these small moments. Eye contact, tone, pauses, and simple acknowledgement act as emotional rewards that shape how people experience you. In romantic relationships, reward therapy explains why some couples grow calmer over time, while others become increasingly reactive. Many partners unintentionally reward negative behavior by giving it more emotional energy. Complaints receive attention. Cooperation is ignored. The brain learns that conflict is the fastest way to feel connected. Reward therapy flips this pattern by consistently reinforcing emotional honesty, effort, and cooperation. When positive behavior receives more emotional recognition than negative behavior, the relationship slowly rewires itself. Safety becomes the dominant signal. Drama loses its power. Intimacy increases, not because conflict disappears, but because emotional reward becomes reliable. This process does not feel dramatic. In fact, it feels subtle. Conversations become easier. Tension resolves faster. Silence feels less threatening. People start showing more of who they are because the brain has learned that authenticity is not punished here. This is the quiet foundation upon which strong relationships are built. Reward therapy, at its core, is about awareness. Awareness of what you reinforce emotionally. Awareness of how your reactions train others. Every response you give is teaching something. The question is whether it teaches fear or safety. That answer determines the future of the relationship, long before either person realizes it. Reward therapy extends far beyond romantic relationships. It quietly governs friendships, families, workplaces, and even brief social interactions. Friendships, in particular, reveal how powerful emotional reinforcement really is. Most friendships do not end with betrayal or arguments. They fade when emotional rewards disappear. Messages feel one-sided. Effort goes unnoticed. When the brain no longer receives confirmation that connection is valued, it slowly disengages. Reintroducing emotional reward can revive connection almost instantly. A genuine acknowledgement, a moment of attention, or appreciation for consistency can reconnect to people without explanation or confrontation. The brain remembers what it once felt like to be seen, and it leans back toward that feeling naturally. Parenting offers one of the clearest demonstrations of reward therapy in action. Children learn less from rules and more from emotional outcomes. When curiosity is rewarded with attention instead of dismissal, curiosity expands. When honesty is met with safety instead of anger, honesty strengthens. Over time, children don't just learn how to behave. They learn who they are allowed to be. These emotional lessons shape their expectations of relationships for the rest of their lives. The same principles apply in professional environments. Teams do not thrive because of policies. They thrive because of emotional climate. When effort, learning, and improvement are acknowledged, motivation increases without force. People contribute ideas because the brain no longer associates speaking up with embarrassment or rejection. Psychological safety is created not by slogans, but by consistent emotional reinforcement. Timing plays a critical role in reward therapy. The brain learns fastest when emotional reward follows behavior closely. Delayed appreciation weakens the association. That is why small, immediate acknowledgments often have more impact than rare, dramatic gestures. Consistency trains the nervous system. Intensity only excites it temporarily. Authenticity is essential for reward therapy to work. The brain is extremely sensitive to forced praise or strategic compliments trigger suspicion rather than trust. Emotional reward must be genuine. It requires paying attention, noticing real effort, and responding honestly. Over time, this practice changes perception itself. You begin to see growth where you once saw flaws. Reward therapy also transforms how conflict unfolds. During conflict, the brain's threat system dominates. Logic fades, emotion rises, and people move into self-protection. Introducing reward signals during conflict, such as calm, tone, acknowledgement of feelings, or shared intention, tells the nervous system that the relationship itself is not under threat. Once emotional safety returns, problem-solving becomes possible again. An often overlooked dimension of reward therapy is the relationship you have with yourself. How you respond to your own mistakes, effort, and progress shapes how you treat others. People who constantly punish themselves emotionally often struggle to offer emotional reward externally. Learning to acknowledge your own effort builds patience, empathy, and emotional generosity. Reward therapy does not eliminate boundaries. In fact, It strengthens them. Boundaries delivered with respect and appreciation are more likely to be accepted. When limits are communicated without humiliation or hostility, the brain experiences them as protection rather than rejection. This builds long-term trust instead of silent resentment. Over time, reward therapy creates a ripple effect. People who feel emotionally rewarded tend to offer it to others. Relationships become less transactional and more cooperative. Repairs after conflict happen faster. Communication becomes clearer, lighter, and more intentional. Most people never use the phrase reward therapy, but they feel its impact. They describe it in simple words. They say, "I feel safe talking to you," or "You make things easier," or "I don't feel judged around you." These statements signal that the nervous system has learned something important. This connection is safe. In the end, reward therapy is about conscious choice, choosing to reinforce what builds connection instead of what fuels conflict, choosing emotional safety over control, choosing presence over reaction. These choices, repeated consistently, reshape relationships at their core. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. When people feel safe, they become honest. When they feel honest, trust grows. And when trust grows, relationships stop feeling like work and start feeling like home. That is the quiet, powerful transformation reward therapy brings into human relationships.